Hello again, and welcome to part two of my conversation with Dr. Masahisa Kawashima of NTT's Innovative Optical and Wireless Network Research Operation, and also the IOWN Global Networks, of which he's the chair. But first, the inevitable plug for my media training service. Do you or your clients want to sound as confident, clear, and fluent in media interviews as the people in this podcast? Of course you do. My team and I can help. Drop my assistant Lindsay, that's lindsay@clapperton.co.uk, a note, and she'll set us a time for an initial chat. Or go to the website at clapperton.co.uk, two P's, to find out more. Now, back to the podcast. Now, for those who missed part one, it's still online, but if you want to crack on, here's a quick reminder of why you should be listening. My guest is head of NTT's R&D of Innovative Optical and Wireless Network, that's IOWN, IOWN, as the IOWN Technology Director. He is also serving as chair of the Technology Working Group at IOWN Global Forum, which is why we're talking to him. His name, as I mentioned earlier, is Dr. Masahisa Kawashima. Dr. Kawashima, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Perhaps you could start off by reminding us, for those people who perhaps haven't heard last week's, or it's been a few days since they listened to it, perhaps you could remind us why we're talking about photonic networks, what they are, and why they're important.
Today's network is like internet, is based on electronic-based exchange system, like what typically we often call it packet exchange systems, and packet exchange systems are based on electronic data processing. On the other hand, photonic-based network system uses light-based switching system instead of electronic data processing. And this will enable us to forward data with much less latency. And the reason why we need such a network is, so far, basically the network is used to deliver information to humans. But in future, what we need to achieve is a communication between AIs or between robots. And in such communication, we need to achieve much shorter latency. That's why we need a new type of network system, light-based switching system.
One of the things you were discussing in the last episode interested me. Well, it all interested me, of course, but one of the things I noticed was you were talking about people having not needing an actual computer in their home anymore, but effectively logging onto a computer elsewhere and it working as if it was in their own home. Isn't that just cloud-based computing? Isn't that happening already?
No, in the cloud-based computing, you still need smartphones or PCs in your home, and basically, in enterprises, enterprises have many PCs and servers in enterprises environment. But if we use IOWN APN, users' terminals can be more with less IT devices and with less energy consumption. It would be like just thin display and keyboard without
Right.
any processors or GPUs or high bandwidth memories. So that's the difference.
Right. So the fact that I think I'm logging on to, I don't know, something like Gmail or whatever, which of course I am, that still means a lot of the processing or some of the processing is happening at my end.
Yeah.
It's not all being done by Google. Thank you for that. That's clear. What are the biggest barriers to making this mainstream? I mean, it sounds a great idea. Of course, it's one thing having an idea. What are the barriers in the way, and how far away are we from seeing this at scale?
One of the issues, a very big challenge is interoperability. So, packets. Today's network is based on, as I said, is based on electronic-based data processing. So it's basically a digital system. So, for example, when you copy music in digital form, it's very easy. But when you try to copy music in analog form, it's very difficult. For example, as you repeat the copy, basically the quality of sound degrades. Like that, basically light-based switching system means interconnecting networks in a more in an analog-based interconnection system. So it's very difficult to uh, create a scalable network with a light-based switching system. So in order to achieve that, we need to do some kind of interoperability testing, inviting many optical product vendors in the world.
Yeah, and this has got to be a global initiative if it's going to work,
Yes.
because I imagine you can't just have a sort of one sort of network for Europe, one sort for Australasia or whatever. It's got to be completely universal. So, is this going to be ultimately something that replaces existing infrastructure, or is it going to be built alongside it? And if it's going to replace it, what happens to the existing infrastructure after all that?
What we foresee is basically the new network will harness the existing network. For example, people may keep using existing network in their local environment, but they may use the new type of network to interconnect the networks in two environments. So like that, basically the two networks will coexist, and the new networks will harness the existing network and will enable people to increase the network capacity and also reduce the communication latency.
Some people will hear this and think this sounds great, but will it really happen? We've had all those false dawns in the past. What do you say to them? How realistic is this? That this is actually going to take over and benefit us all in future?
It's a good question. So just developing a technology is not good enough. Basically, we have to identify use cases where users can get enough economic benefit. So, so this is important point. And for example, that's why at IOWN Global Forum, we identify several use cases that would drive the adoption of this new type of network. And one of the use cases is application to the transaction systems in financial service institutes, because they are looking for network that enable them to protect their transaction systems, transaction databases. And for such use cases, our new network would be very helpful. So this is one example of identifying use cases that would drive the adoption. This is the how we make the vision reality.
People will have different ideas about light-based networks. Those who've thought about it at all. Are there any major misconceptions out there that about photonics networking that you'd like to correct?
So I think basically, for example, even in my explanation, I often mention today's network like electronic-based packet switching system as a term to represent the today's network. But our network is not intended to replace today's network. As I explained earlier, basically, the new network will complement today's network. I think this is one of the some people may think misunderstanding that we are trying to replace today's network, but in reality, we will complement today's network.
Another barrier, we were talking about barriers earlier, another thing that can cause enormous trouble and still does, already does in the IT sector is the skills gap. I keep hearing about the skills gap and the fact that people aren't trained enough and that they want young people to
Yeah.
be working hard on this. What kind of skills or talent will you need globally to make IOWN networks happen?
As I said, while today's packet network systems are like basically digital system, the optical systems or light-based networking system is more analog transmission system. So, for example, we need engineers to fine-tune the analog transmission systems. So the technology skills are very different. So that's the skill set we need. And at IOWN Global Forum, we are discussing creating educational programs so that the engineers can learn how to fine-tune analog optical transmission systems.
You mentioned IOWN Global Forum a few times, of course you have, which is obviously comprised of, as you mentioned last time, about 100 members with... and
170 members.
170. Thank you for the correction. Thank you for the clarification. One of the issues people always face in those sorts of organizations is you're getting competitors to cooperate with each other. I'm just wondering what's in it for them, and perhaps you could just tell us the fundamentals of what the mission of IOWN Global Forum is and how you're going about achieving it.
There are two types of competition or fight. I mean, one of the competition is between companies, but another fight is fight between people who are trying to protect old technologies and people who are trying to promote new technologies. Basically, IOWN Global Forum is a community of engineers who would like to create a better world with new technologies. In this sense, we are not fighting. Basically, we are a team.
If we were having this conversation again in 5 years' time, what do you think will have changed by then?
Again, as I said, basically, more you in your home or in your office, you will no longer have to have power consuming IT devices. Instead, you can just connect your home to data centers. And in data centers, there will be many advanced computers, and such computers can be usable as if they were located in your home or in your office. In this way, basically, the energy consumption or carbon emission in the urban areas can be reduced significantly with our light-based networks.
Do you think that Wi-Fi technology is going to be fast enough to make that realistic? Because it's all very well having the connection to the wall that's that fast, but then there's the connection between the wall and to the computer, to the screen as it will be.
The bandwidth of Wi-Fi would not be a problem because, just to send the data to the screen and just to send data from the keyboard, such bandwidth can be supported by today's Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi would not be a problem.
It depends on your Wi-Fi provider, but that's another issue for me to take up with my own tech support people. So that's great. Yeah. Final question. Once again, if you could tell us where listeners can find out more if they're interested, and if they're a company in the field, perhaps how they could get involved.
Please do search with the keyword IOWN, IOWN, and you may also put Global Forum. Then you will find our site, and please contact the IOWN Global Forum administration desk.
Perfect. Dr. Masahisa Kawashima, Chair of the Technology Working Group at IOWN Global Forum, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to hear more like this, please do subscribe to the Near Futures podcast on any of the platforms available, and do come back next week for the first installment of our next interview. Thank you very much. See you then.